Hello Home Inspire, I'm Jules and this is my newly renovated Black Mews home in the middle of London. So the reason we bought here is location, location, location. This was probably one of the most rundown mews in this street. And the reason why we chose a mews street is because it gets that villagey feeling while still being in the middle of London. It's got a lovely history. The purpose of the mews was to be the horse and carriage for the fancy houses of the middle and upper class around the corner. But nowadays, the mews are one of the most sought after places in London. So the history of this particular street is that the west side of the mews got bombed during the Second World War. And before that time, it was really lovely because a few doors down, there was a lovely cafe and the Marine used to come from Paddington Station, which is just around the corner, and have their coffee before they went on their long journey. And I actually counted the other day, and it's exactly 110 steps from the house to the entrance of the elevator that takes you to the Elizabeth line, which takes you all over London. So we bought this place in January 2020. It was very damp, it had a lot of rooms, a lot of doors. It was just very run down. We decided to go down one level and build a basement. And the complexity of that, and as well as the high level design that we wanted to create in this house, meant that we took 1 year to complete the drawings, the architecture, and source a quantity surveyor and contractors. And then we took 2 years to renovate. So bought it in 2020, started renovations in 2021, and finalized in 2023. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the features of the house, starting with the facade. So obviously we're in Westminster, and we have to keep with the history and the keeping of the architecture. And therefore we couldn't do anything to the height. We couldn't do anything to the facade. We had to keep the traditional sash windows in place. The house was originally already green, a little bit lighter. Thought it would be a little bit playful to brighten it up a bit and make the street a little bit brighter. So we went for a slightly brighter green. In order to keep in line with history really and the way the mews were used for a horse and carriage, we had quite a bit of iterations of the garage door, but this is the result. So it looks like an old stable door, but it's not. And it gives you a little peek of what's happening inside. We also wanted to reinstate the cobblestones that traditionally were here in the street. So they weren't there anymore, but we dug them up. We actually discovered some of the older ones and we put some new ones in on top of that. So I think all in all, it reinstates the traditional mews, but at the same time, give it that little modern twist. Let me show you inside. Here we are. Welcome inside the Black Mews. So one of the most important things when we bought this house was its location. I sleep so well here. It's so quiet. And we have a really good relationship with the neighbors. When we have events in London, like when we had the King's inauguration, we had a big market here in the street and everyone was chipping in. It was lovely. So the design of the entry hall here is really, first of all, to reinstate a little bit of the more traditional feel to a lot of the houses here around London, a lot of the mews. But then what's really important for us is cupboard space. So the whole project really was run not only as an architectural project, more into what I would call product design, because every little minute detail of the house is so important because we're in the middle of London. And we wanted to make full use of the space. So for the whole way, what was important is that we, in line with the product design vibe, we had to make most use of the space. So we have loads of space for jackets, for shoes. We have drawers for, we're triathletes, so we go swimming a lot. So we have all our swimming kit in here. And there's kind of a secret door with extra storage for a vacuum cleaner and these kind of things. So here we are in the living room. So because of the constraints we had with the size of the house, we obviously couldn't expand other than going down a basement level. So when we thought about a dining area, we decided we don't need a formal dining area, but yet we love to entertain. So we decided to go instead for an open plan living kitchen area where I can be in the kitchen and entertain, but at the same time we can hang out around the fireplace. Some interesting things maybe about the living room is that we bring elements that you will see all over the house, and the staircase back, which is a combination of wood, where we have the herringbone oak wooden flooring. We have metal, which comes back in the staircase, but also in the shelving we have in the living room area, and bricks, which is all over one side of the wall of the house. That gives the combination of the edgy black style of the house with the warmth of the wood and the more London style bricks. Again, for the design of the living room, the challenge was that we have a very small space to play with, and I still wanted to have couches in here. So we managed to find these two beautiful couches from B&B Italia, where we play around a little bit material elements as well. And, you know, we bring out some contrast with other pillows that we have, a black and white that matches my rock and roll kitchen. So here we are in the kitchen. It's one of my most favorite rooms in the house. Not necessarily because I'm such a great cook, I'm working on it, but I love socializing. And when I'm hosting, I'm always busy doing stuff and preparing stuff. So it's kind of really fun that people sit around the kitchen table instead of a formal dining area. People sit around the couch, around the fire, and I'm just chatting away, cooking, doing my thing. Originally, the kitchen, as you opened the front door, you stood into the kitchen. So it was on a completely different side of the house. Now I call this the rock and roll kitchen. And it all really started when I sat down with the main company, who's the company who helped me to design the kitchen. It's all natural wood. And we played around with a few different elements. And I have to say, I don't have a design background, but during the process of creating the kitchen, my excitement and passion for design kind of came alive. And the kitchen came almost the center design piece of the house, because from the kitchen, everything else fell into place in my head. So for example, when we chose the brass fixtures in the kitchen, they're from Buster and Punch. I love them so much that I then ended up getting the light bulbs from Buster and Punch, which I think are beautiful as well. And from there, everything else went in the house. So now I went a bit wild, and all the fixtures in the house, all the door fixtures and all the electrics, they're all Buster and Punch. And my most favorite piece is the 50 millimeters quartz worktop. It's called Panda, the Panda quartz. And the same element of this quartz worktop, I brought it back into the living rooms around the fireplace, and also upstairs in the main bedroom around the fireplace is the same Panda quartz. But last but not least, one of the most loved features of this house is the dump waiter. So when I get breakfast in the morning or the laundry, it's just really easy because we have 4 levels. So there's quite a bit of stairs, and the dump waiter makes it just so much more easy. We went for really high-end appliances. That includes the Bora top, which is the induction, which is beautifully designed. And it works really, really well. And the really fun feature, which is the teppanyaki grill, which I love. When I'm cooking, I use these and I chop like a Japanese chopper. I'm going a bit off. So the reason I chose the teppanyaki grill is that it's a bit of fun. I can stand here and I do live cooking whilst I'm entertaining, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. You can do omelets on there. You can do your wok fried vegetables, noodles, everything. I use it almost every day. And it's really easy to clean as well. So I really recommend it for anybody that's watching and is thinking about getting them. Me and my husband, we can't live without the cooker, which is sparkling water, which we basically drink all the time, but also, of course, the boiling water. And very handy, I recommend for everybody as well, is the double drawer dishwasher. So you don't have to like bend down all the time when you're in the kitchen. I really love the integrated coffee machine from Miele because it just leaves all the clutter on the worktop, makes lovely cappuccino as well. And then we have this steam combination oven also from Miele, which is really good also to reheat food. So, the staircase. Let me tell you about the staircase. The staircase is the central piece of the house. And it took a lot of iterations from a design perspective because there's so many different levels in the house. We obviously dig down deeper. We created a basement. So we could play around with the levels, but the ground level, the street level, is the entrance. Then we go about 30 centimeters down, and here we are in the living room kitchen area. But the staircase plays around with these different levels, so you will find yourself on a staircase being in between levels, as it were. And that's kind of a fun thing about the staircase. It brings back all the elements that are all around the house, which is the metal, the glass, and the brick that goes all along the staircase from top to bottom. When you stand downstairs in the basement and you look up, you look all the way into the roof light, and that's why the staircase is open, and that creates a beautiful light which gives a beautiful contrast with the black that we have in the house. So you might wonder, why did she design this house all black? Well, I'll tell you, it was a little bit of a combination of elements. First of all, it's because we don't have kids in this house full time. So I felt like instead of making it like a more traditional family home, let's make it a sexy rock and roll London pad. So with that in mind, I thought, let's make it moody, make it dark. And I think black, it makes things really cozy as well when you play around with lighting, when you have the fireplaces. So you create this funky yet really homely place. So yeah, maybe inspirational for some people, hopefully. And what happened to me is once I had my mind set on black, which all really came from and originated from the kitchen, I then thought, well, I need to go all in with the black. So what happened is I have black plates, I have black candle holders, vases, everything you can think of. Even my loudspeakers are black. So I went a little bit crazy with all of that because, you know, it's not just the walls, it's not just the ceilings, it's not just the bathrooms. That includes a sprinkler system, because you can imagine a lot of things come standard in white. So to push the supplier and go for black, of course, that was a little bit more expensive. So I had to stop myself sometimes not to go too crazy. So here we are in the basement, and we wanted to make sure, even though you can imagine it was very, very expensive to dig down, to allow 2.5 meters head height on each level. Because of the fact that we build a basement with structures on 3 sides in the middle of Westminster Conservation Area, where we have high planning controls to protect the special architecture, we had to hire a party wall surveyor to make sure that there's no damage, no cracking of the walls, etc. So we did the full design of the project with an architect and then went to a quantity surveyor. After that, we appointed about 4 contractors because we really wanted to get more clarity about the timelines and the cost about the project. So the 2 unexpected events that hit us during this project was, first of all, COVID caused huge delays. As you can imagine, we were about 8 months delayed. The sites were closed. Lead time for suppliers and materials was way, way longer. And it was also more expensive. So that was a huge challenge. And secondly, the Westminster Council change of building regulations related to fireproofing of the house. And that hit us also because we had to make an extra level of plasterboard, so thick insulation around the whole perimeter of the building. And at the end of the day, this is only beneficial for us because it's actually extra insulation, especially because we have an air source heat pump, so it makes the house extra cozy. But also, of course, because we have 3 fireplaces in the house. The reason why we have the fireplaces, and we insisted on having so many fireplaces, even though it was quite a pain in terms of building regulations, because we have this open staircase, was that it creates this warmth and cozy feeling. So we have one in the basement, we have one in the living kitchen area, and we have one in the main bedroom. But let me tell you a little bit about the basement. This is definitely, when it comes to the kids, the most favorite room in the house. Why? Because first of all, we have this really cozy couch, which I sourced from a company called Vetsak. It's from South Africa, VETSAK, if I believe. And they're for really cozy, and you can just like really create your own like couch cinema experience. So the cinema is the most favorite place in the house, like I said, mostly for the kids. So as you come down the stairs into the basement, you walk straight into the cozy couch and cinema room. And then we have these sliding doors also to create more space that go straight into the wet room. And it's a wet room, which means there's a shower, a toilet, and a small sink. It also has the utilities. So because we micro plan the whole house, we had it tucked away as well. So with some smart features, like when we do the washing, you can put your washing in here. We have compartments for everything here. And there's attention to the smallest level of detail in a small house like this. Even when you do your washing, the dry rack doesn't always have to be seen, because when you're done with it, you just push it away and nobody knows about it. And the good thing is, when I do my washing, I put it in the dumbwaiter and up it goes to the top floor. We also have the control room in here, and in here is the air source heat pump and the fire suppression pump and the fire curtains. So everything is controlled from here. And again, there's ample cupboard space down here for all bits and pieces. So here we are on the first floor. Now let me tell you, the design of this floor took a little bit of tweaking and family discussions, because the fact that the kids are not with us all the time, we had to make some compromises because of the small space we had to play with. So the compromise was we created 2 micro bedrooms, spare bedrooms on this level with a shared bathroom. And the compromise was that in return, they would get a very lush cinema room, an entertainment kitchen living room, and a very big office with a lot of light and space. So here on the first floor, it's a really nice example of how the flooring really with the floating staircase goes into our herringbone floor that we have everywhere in the house, into the staircase, which is the same color oak, and it nicely blends in together. And of course, the separation brings back the brass look again to make it all complete. So here we are on the first floor bathroom. So this is a sharing bathroom for the 2 bedrooms here. The features about the bathroom is that I don't like tiles. So I really like the smooth micro cement look. So we decided to go for micro cement in all the bathrooms, all in black, of course, to match the house. Then when it came to the sinks, I found the perfect balance with the moody yet very contemporary design. I really liked the look of creating an open space between the basin and the drawers that I put underneath. And it gives really nice space in between to roll up some towels and keep the towels there. So the interesting thing, as you go up in the house from the first level onto what's almost a split level in the house, is really because we wanted to keep this lush feeling of 2.5 meters exceptionally high floor level on each floor. An extra bonus is with the integration of the staircase, this beautiful design that makes you feel like you're floating with the staircase as you go up in the house. And by separating the office from the bedrooms and the bathroom, you kind of really separate working and relaxing and sleeping. It's a bit of a glass box really, but I think it's quite beautifully designed, with the additional benefit that the fire grade glazing that we had to put in give really nice acoustics and make it that you can have your conference calls in private and nobody can hear it. It's very cozy, and because of the AC, it very quickly, even though we have underfloor heating, If you want a quick fix, it heats up really quickly and it cools down really nicely in the summer. So now let me take you to my favorite place in the house. As you can imagine, the roof light features that we put in and the top of the staircase, as well as in the main bedroom, are one of the highlights of the house. It just lets in beautiful amount of light that contrasts the black walls, and the double height ceiling here is just a remarkable feature, really. So the original house didn't have access to the roof, so we really created by opening up the roof with the roof light. We spent a little bit of time on designing the staircase because we didn't want a permanent staircase. We wanted the staircase in the house to finish here, and then we created a staircase that's foldable, so whenever we need it, mostly in the summer, it comes off the wall and we go up to the roof for our cocktails. So here we are on the top in a nice bright sunny day. We don't have so many of them, but when we do, and especially in the summer, it's so lovely to be up here. The roof also has the AC ducts and an air source heat pump. The ACs, I can tell you, are very, very key nowadays for London in the summer. So we're very happy to have ACs in every room in their house. What's nice about the rooftop is that this didn't exist before in terms of there was no ladder, so there was no access to the roof. We put a little bit of furniture and made it a bit more sociable so we can enjoy ourselves. So back from the roof onto the top floor. Welcome to my sacred space, the master suite. A couple of things I like to mention here. We have, of course, the wooden flooring coming back. We have smoky dark mirrors, which give a really nice, naughty, but also spacious effect. The walls, of course, are black. All the way in all the bedrooms in the house, we have wooden paneling, which at the same time is also soundproof. So that's really nice. They came light. We painted them a little bit darker to match the flooring. We have built-in headboard, and actually all the beds are bespoke. So they built in by the carpenter, and they have drawers underneath. So a really nice, neat way of using the space. The wooden paneling is coming back around the fireplace. So it's an open space, which some of you might think is unusual for a master suite, but it actually worked out really well. So all the blinds in the house are electric. The house is also set up smart, so we can change the blinds, the lights, everything through Siri, which is quite handy also when you're not at home. The roof light also has a blind. It has LEDs, which I can change in color. And then you might think, why didn't they build in the AC units? But it was actually a specific choice we did. The compromise we would have to do to build in the AC ducts would have meant that we had to dig basically this much deeper in the basement to allow that to happen on each level, which would have been tens of thousands of extra pounds. So that was one of the reasons why we didn't do that. And to be honest, I don't regret that. Let's talk about the open space bathroom here in the main bedroom. I went for white toilets and a white massive bath just to play around a little bit with the theme because the toilets and the sinks are black in the other two bathrooms. I decided to just go a little bit different here. I think it's a nice contrast with the black walls and the bathroom furniture. Also, I decided to have rain showers in each of the bathrooms, which creates this lush feeling. And I would really recommend, if you're thinking of renovating your bathroom, to build in a little niche space that really nicely fits your shampoos. In all the bathrooms, again, in order to maximize space, we have mirrored cabinets with storage space inside, which is quite neat and handy. A really nice feature in the main suite is the curved walls, what we have with the curved skirtings. And yeah, it's on both sides and also around the bath. So a really nice design feature which helps the flow of the space. As I mentioned in the kitchen, I went quite mad with Buster and Punch. So you see the elements coming back here with the soap dispensers, the towel fixture and the electric fixtures. It's a really nice way to bring back the cohesiveness of the design of the house. Hey Siri, turn master bed red. So the master bedroom has a really nice walk-in wardrobe where again we had to work with the space that we have. So we have built-in wardrobes and bespoke carpentry everywhere, even into the roof line here. So the actual shelves inside the cabinets they start really small and then they go wider as you go down. Most of the investment in this house is actually not in the things you can see, but in the things you can't see. And this is where the sustainability element of the house comes in. We have a very quiet 9 kilowatt-hour air source heat pump that replaced the original gas here in the house. It's very efficient because we have very high insulation in the house. Our energy bills are actually only around between 100 and 150 pounds a month. We probably went a little bit mad on the electrics, the lighting, due to mostly because we had in mind to already make this a black house. But on hindsight, I think it's okay. It just makes that, you can play around with lights to create more atmosphere. And secondly, next time around, I probably wouldn't put a fire in the basement. The lovely fire we have on the ground floor and in the master ensuite, I wouldn't want to compromise on, but the fire in the basement really is a little bit unnecessary because it's cozy enough just with the TV. It's nice and warm and we never really use it, but yeah, that's it. Thanks, Home Inspire. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Black Mews, and I hope you enjoyed every little attention of detail that went into the renovation of this house. I hope to welcome you back some other time. Bye.